Hey all, welcome back to the channel here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today I'm working on the Talon here. So my plan is to pull the exhaust manifold off, which I have pretty much already started doing, at least loosened the turbo bolts here just so I can pretty much get started on pulling the manifold to helicoil the head. Since these threads on like 3 or 4 of them are pulling, I'm just going to probably drill all of them out and helicoil the head. So I have a right-handed drill or right angle drill that I'm borrowing from a friend just so I can get this done. I'm also probably going to figure out how I'm going to mount an oil cooler on here. I do have an oil cooler. I need to take the wheel off here, put the oil cooler provision on the block because it right now currently has the factory coolant cooled oil cooler on there, but they have a lot of issues with them, usually failing internally, and they'll send coolant through the oil, which definitely don't want. But yeah, that's what I'm working on today. Let's get started on this. A lot of you 4G63 guys out there are going to be like, John, how are you going to get the exhaust manifold off because the motor mount's in the way? Well, this one, surprisingly, has already been modified so the exhaust manifold can be removed without having to take the motor mount off. So someone had thought about that. I don't know if it was my the friend I got it from, or if it was the previous owner to them, or yeah, but that's already been thought of, so this should be able to come out fairly easy. I'm also debating, I'm like, should I get like an FP green? An HTA 68? I don't know. This thing's pretty fun, but the 20G is just slightly too big because, you know, it felt more like a 12-second car with the 16G, and with this 20G, it seems like it's like right at 13. Maybe a little bit slower. But the 16G seemed like it was like a 12.8 second car, somewhere right around that time. But I don't know. HTA 68 I feel like would make it closer to a low 12-second car, and it can probably easily push 30 pounds of boost, so I could probably even get it closer to, you know, 11s. But I'm not really even trying to drag race this thing. I just want the power because it's just so fun to drive this thing. But yeah, I don't know, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think I should do. I do want to get some GSC Stage 1 cams for this. Kind of just, I don't know, go over this entire build and make it a lot better. I also want to do high compression because it's still got the factory compression in it. I mean, it may be a little bit higher because I've had the head decked, but I mean, 7.8 to 1 or maybe 8 to 1 since I've had the head decked. Not much. That is not much compression for this engine. But that also does mean I can run a hell of a lot more boost. So, you know, there's some trade-offs. A lot of trade-offs. All right, and see right here is one of them that had the threads pulled. So yeah, we'll get to cracking on that, and yeah, hopefully I can maybe just unthread that off of the bolt and reuse that, or the stud I should say. But other than that, worst case scenario, I'll just buy new studs. They're like, I don't know, 70 bucks, something like that. All right, now that I got the manifold off, you can pretty much see everything in here, but yeah, this is the one that's mainly pulled. I think most of these are pulling because I remember trying to tighten a lot of them and they felt like they were pulling. So I'm gonna get some nuts on these, back them out of the head, and then while I'm thinking about it, because I see this looks like it has a valve seal leak on both of these exhaust valves. I'm wondering if I should pull the valve cover because I do have a new valve cover gasket set and reseal it, and maybe potentially try to do the valve seals on those valves, just because, why not? But yeah, I'm at least gonna continue on with this for now. All right, we found another culprit here. This one right over here. The rest of these don't want to come out, so we're gonna mess around more with that as well. Alright, this one came out fine, but you know, Helicoil is still just going to make it stronger, so we're going to send it. Alright, well I only got 2 of these out, this one and this one here. The rest of these don't seem like they want to come out. This is the only other one that wanted to come out. So I've marked the drill bit with some tape, just so I don't go too deep into the head and you know, cause an oil leak. So yeah, I'm going to get to drilling these out right now. It's the next day. I have at least helicoiled the threads on the head, so we're good there. I've also cleaned up the surface of the head and the surface of the manifold here to be able to make sure I have a proper seal in between the, you know, the nice copper gasket that I have here. But I'm also going to pull the valve cover, see how easy it's going to be able to remove the cams, to potentially do a valve seal job on this, because I remember doing the valve seals probably like, I don't know, 10, 15,000 miles ago when I had the head off. So it doesn't really have many miles on it, but clearly 2 of them are leaking. But I'm also going to potentially go in there and see what else I can do for sealing, because this valve cover seems to have a bunch of issues sealing. So I'm going to clean it up real nicely and just try to make it overall better. But what I also want to do is create some sort of vent, kind of like the Evos have. So the Evo has a nice vent in the hood right about somewhere right in here to help extract all the heat coming from the radiator and the turbo, because there's a lot of heat that generates from everything in this area. And the DSM, specifically the Talons and Eclipses, anything like that, they all had issues with heat extraction and heat retention in the engine bay. So basically all of it would just stay in the engine bay. You couldn't really get it out, so you'd have issues overheating. You'd have a lot of different issues no matter what you did. If you switched to a lower thermostat, it didn't matter, because there's not any heat extraction for the heat to escape. So my plan is to figure out where and how big to cut a vent in the hood here, and if I should actually get something like a race louver to put in there, or if I should just create some slices in the hood and just bend it to create my own basically vent built into the stock hood. So I don't know. It's maybe a good idea to try that, just because it's a lot cheaper to cut my own slices in the hood, and also I can cut out all of this like extra like reinforcement for the hood, because this hood, I swear, probably weighs 30 pounds. It is a very heavy hood. It shouldn't have to weigh that much. But for everything that I could helicoil, I did, and I'm going to put the exhaust manifold back on, see how tight I can get it, and gonna go from there. I'm going to start with the valve cover first and go from there. Alright, so something I did not know you were supposed to do while you have ARP studs is when you drive on the vehicle for a little bit, you're supposed to pull everything apart and retorque the studs for specifically the head. And this thing has probably got 15,000 miles on it. I didn't know that. And compression's been good on it. It's been making a lot of power, but just to be safe, I am going to go through and retorque them all. So that's what I'm going to do next. The valve cover is mostly cleaned for just pulling the gasket off, and there wasn't any leaks in any of the spark plug holes, so we're good there. Don't have to clean anything out there. Just need to clean up the surface around here, the surface around here, add some more RTV to the corners and everything when I go to reseal it. RTV that in again, and should be good to go. But I'm going to go around and torque the head again. Now, of course, the toughest thing I have about this is I don't know what I really assembled this with, if I put the head studs in with moly lube or without moly lube, because this was a part so long ago, and this is well before I even did YouTube. I was just assembling this with one of my friends in his shop. Maybe I can text him, see if he remembers, but I want to say I did do it with the lube. If so, I just retorque them to 80 foot-pounds. We'll see. You know what, it actually probably doesn't matter. I'm just gonna set the torque wrench to 80 foot-pounds and check them all, and hope none of them tighten. Or if they do tighten, then we'll be good. Well, all of them definitely moved at least, I don't know, half a turn, maybe a quarter of a turn, somewhere in between there, but they are all retorqued, so we're good there. Now time to clean up everything and put the new valve cover gasket on. Now we're getting ready to prep the gasket for install here, or I should say prep the valve cover for install of the gasket. So I've went around all these little surfaces, cleaned up everything, and I realized there's still some stuff in there. But that's okay, I can get that out before I just install the last little bits. I'm going to be using some Toyota Fippage to put in the corners of all the areas that need any RTV. This Toyota Fippage stuff is the best stuff on the market for RTV. Of course, you can get it at Toyota for, I don't know, it's like 20 or 30 bucks or something like that, but you will not find a better RTV than this stuff. now we're back in business, baby. So now I'm gonna put my 710 cap back on. And if you don't know what I mean by 710 cap, I mean, look at that. It doesn't even say oil. It says 710, which is weird to me. I don't know. That's one of those weird things. But you're also gonna think I'm weird. DSMs, they require a catch can. So I put a generic like eBay one in here. Let me just show you guys. And it's gonna get the job done. But DSMs need a catch can. I don't care that it's a cheap one. It's gonna get the job done for now. So until I can get a proper one that'll, you know, work with the intake and everything else on this thing, it's gonna work. It's gonna help prevent getting oil all over everything over here. So yeah. And that's the cleanest I've seen that valve cover in a long time. That looks so good in here now. All right, time to put the turbo manifold back on, get all that back together, and we can fire her up. And me personally, I like using some gasket maker for the exhaust specifically on the turbo here, just because, you know, help prevent any sort of leaks. Just use a thin, real thin amount on here. All right, exhaust manifold is nice and tight, as it should be. I am actually really happy with how that turned out. I'm probably gonna start it up and then just double check for leaks, anything like that from the valve cover. Just to make sure it idles well and everything like that. Then I'm gonna try to take the left front wheel off here, see how easy it's gonna be to access the oil filter housing. 90% certain I'm gonna have to remove the alternator, which is fine. But yeah, we're making a lot of good progress here. So we all know that DSM literally stands for doesn't start much, but we're gonna see if this actually starts here. All right, let's see. Let's hope and pray. Yep. Of course, mine has idling issues because I don't have an idle air control valve. But she sounds pretty good. I may have an exhaust leak way down there, but other than that, it's great. No, yep, I see an exhaust leak in between the downpipe and the turbo. I'm not worried about that. That's fine. Everything else, though, it's sealed to the head, so now I should be able to make all the boost properly. Yeah. What I think is absolutely hilarious is the fact that this is the car that's not supposed to run right, and it's the only one that runs out of that, which is a Honda, and a Toyota body, so you'd think it'd be the most reliable, but no. And then out of that Mazda 3, which is also pretty reliable, because I see all of those 2.3s everywhere on the road. But no, the most unreliable out of my entire fleet is the one that runs. I know some of you have been following me since I've been doing all this stuff on Instagram and Facebook. Basically, the Talon, for the most part, stock. I mean, cams are stock, bottom end is stock. Bottom end probably has 40,000 miles on it now. The head probably has 15 or 20 on it. The turbo is a 20G. I put that on, like 3-4 months ago, something like that. Actually, probably like 7 or 8 months now that I think about it. Anyway, the manifold is supposedly an Evo 3. It's got a full front mount intercooler, which you can happily see there. It's kind of getting blocked. But yeah, front mount intercooler. I don't know if it's actually an HKS, but it's an HKS style. I have a Mishimoto radiator, which, Mishimoto's not known to be the best, even though they claim to be. Anyway, we're going to skip that. HKS knockoff blow-off valve, and pretty much everything on this thing is stock except for when I blew a head gasket in this thing and I had to have the head decked 3 thou. But yeah, this is mostly stock. It probably has slightly higher compression just because I had the head decked, but I want to go over and I want to basically put high compression pistons in it, better cams, like an FP green turbo, and just make this thing overall quite a bit better, faster, and it would just be a lot of fun to just mess around with. I also want to do a carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber roof, and the carbon fiber trunk lid from Carbonetics. Make it completely really lightweight, lower the center of gravity, since this thing doesn't necessarily handle well, but yeah, that's what I want to do. Put it on some lowering springs and different wheels and tires. But slowly but surely, we're going to get there. It's sad. I kind of don't even want to mess around with the oil cooler on this. I kind of just want to drive it. But I know it needs the oil cooler. It's so bad. It overheats so quickly. It's not even funny. And no job is complete without the finishing touches. So this little timing cover, just got to put back on, which I cleaned up. It didn't really come out as well as I expected it to for having been cleaned up, but it's fine. It's gonna get the job done. Okay, now I'm doing some stuff that you guys may not necessarily like, because guess what? This is a factory hood, but I mean, I'm not too terribly worried about it. But I'm just trying to get measurements for what I should do for a hood vent, and it looks like approximately 9 inches tall. And I'm not sure what to do with this hump yet. If I should, remove it or go around it. I'm not exactly sure yet. Maybe cut just a little section in it. I don't know. That's the tough thing, because I'm trying to get as much heat extraction out of this frickin' thing as possible. So I know it's going to be approximately 9 inches tall. And ideally, that would go right into that hump, come all the way over. And that would be crooked as hell, but let's try a little bit lower here. we're gonna start this 11 inches up from the bottom of the hood. Yeah, that's exactly where that one is. And it's exactly where that one is. Perfect. So, and we'll go 9 inches up from there. This will actually be about right there. And then if I were to make it that wide, depending on where I wanted to start it, it would be about 30.5 inches, or I could do 30 inches. 30.5. 30.5 wide, but that's assuming I cut this out. Wow, fucking English, you know, cutted. Idiot. Anyway, if I don't, and I kept just this kind of hump right here, I'd be right at about 22.5. If I went like right there. Then I'd have to figure out how to go around this, and ideally I would probably just run it down to there, the same 23.5. But then I'm leaving the rest of all this to be not heat extractable. So I am currently unsure how I should approach this. Yeah, I don't know, because how far this hood bump goes over is quite obnoxious in comparison to where the engine is. So this is specifically for the cam gears, and I'm like, ideally it only needed this area right over here. The rest of this kind of covers half the valve cover, and ideally if I could cut this entire thing out, we'd have great heat extraction, because it's also going to help the turbo manifold since it sits mostly in this area. Now, finding a vent that's going to be able to contour to this hood, if I just cut that section out, is going to be the hard thing. Now, what I'm actually thinking, instead of getting a vent, is maybe cutting some slats, I don't know, 6 inches wide, all the way across, 12, 20, let's see, maybe a little bit lighter. Either way, doesn't necessarily matter just yet until I'm actually doing it, but maybe just cut little slats in here and then just bend the metal up all the way across, and then I'll have my own factory, basically, heat extraction vent set up in the hood. The hood's already kind of messed up anyway, so I don't really see why I shouldn't. And if I plan to go a carbon fiber hood in the future anyway, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right, well, I've run into a small issue. So this is the oil cooler I was going to run, and I was going to run it pretty much right over here, because this is generally where you can fit an oil cooler. Problem is, I have intercooler piping that runs there because DSM, and there's no real good way to run intercooler piping unless you can get them in on both the same side, which ideally I'd like to switch over to, but unfortunately I have the long route intercooler piping right now. So I think this is going to be a project for a different date once I get a different oil cooler at some point. But this thing does at least run enough for me to be able to drive it and have some fun with it. But, you know, I'm still just going to have overheating issues. But I have mapped out some spots on the hood here to be able to cut out a vent in the hood and put a heat extractor in there to extract everything for the heat coming out of the radiator and from the turbo as well. So slowly but surely we'll make progress with that, at least, to be able to, you know, make this thing more reliable when driving. All right, well, that kind of concludes today's video. I mean, I've got quite a bit done on this thing. Of course, I'm not going to be able to put an oil cooler on it just yet, and I still need to order the duct for the hood, but I got quite a bit done. I mean, getting the valve cover resealed, turbo manifold back on. Yeah, I'm making a lot of good progress, and I'm real happy with how this is coming along. I'm going to get the hood vent ordered and see whatever else I can actually get ordered. Maybe I'll have to get a different oil cooler. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, hope you guys did like this video. And please definitely follow along for more. I'm trying to create more content with all the cars. So Talon, if no one buys the Miata, I may just start working on that again as well. Of course, have the MR2 over here, and I'm just going to be doing a lot of things overall. But you may even see some other content like drag racing and stuff like that. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But just remember to please like, subscribe, share, and don't quit on a body that won't quit.